And on she goes. Hey folks, how you doing? Nick Jennison. It is the Monday Guitar Show. Welcome on board. It's good to have you. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and chat about the guitar. And if you're sat looking at the image on your screen today and thinking, that looks a bit nicer, thanks for noticing. Even though I just pointed it out, been doing a bit of work on getting the best possible image quality to you guys. We think we've made a significant update. Let us know what you think in the comments. I think it looks pretty good. Now, in the meantime, a little word on what's happening today. If you're brand new here, hi, welcome. We do this every Monday. We hang out, we chat about the guitar. Our objective on these streams, as I've said numerous times, is to make you, that is you, dear viewer, a slightly better guitar player when you leave than you were when you arrived. So we are aiming to improve your guitar skills week on week with these streams, and we could not do it without our sponsors, which are, as usual, licklibrary.com and guitarinteractivemagazine.com. You can go to licklibrary.com for lessons, all that good guitar related stuff that isn't GI stuff. Basically anything that's lesson related, go to licklibrary.com. You will learn loads of good stuff. If you want, by contrast, some news, reviews, interviews, you want to hear the latest goings on in the guitar world, go to guitarinteractivemagazine.com. This space down here, go grab that for your what's the word I'm trying to say? For your good guitar playing brain stuff. Anyway, we couldn't do it without those guys. They have continually brought these streams to you. You'll also find loads of content from me, Nick Jennison, that's your host. Hi, how you doing? On both of these platforms. Anyway, the subject of today's stream is scales, specifically memorizing scale shapes and making it so that you never forget scale shapes, so you never feel lost again when you're improvising. We're going to open this up to the comments and see if everybody feels the same way, but I think I know the answer. Have you all had this thing where you sort of go, you know, sometimes I feel like I know this stuff, but just recalling it in the heat of battle, that's a bit of a bother. You know, it doesn't always work the way I hope it will. Or maybe sometimes, you know, you go, well, I feel like I really have trouble memorizing all this sort of stuff, like scales. They kind of make sense to me, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I don't know, sometimes I get a little bit lost. Well, this stream is for you. We're going to decode all this stuff. We're going to show you some foolproof ways, some absolutely, and when I say foolproof, I mean like really legitimately foolproof, as in a fool like me, they are immune to. They're going to show you ways to get your scale game on point. Now, this is the last in our series of streams on scales. You want to know a little bit more about the scale thing, you can do the following. You can go to the YouTube channel that you happen to be watching this on, whether it's Lick Library or whether it's Guitar Interactive. Give us a subscribe while you're there, share it with your guitar playing friends, hit the like button or all the appropriate buttons whenever you happen to be watching this, and go and check out the last 3 streams. We've done 3 whole streams prior to this one on scales. They've been really well received. You guys have really been into them, which makes me very, very happy. You can also go and check out today's sponsored course, which is brought to you by licklibrary.com. It's down in the description, and it's one of mine this time. This is the Fretboard Freedom Master Plan, and basically it's a way of getting you from 0 to having a full command of the fretboard in as little time as possible. Go check it out. It's at the link down below. Fretboard Freedom Master Plan, available on licklibrary.com. It's one of my courses, so I would say it's good. I'm biased, but I think it's pretty good. Anyway, let's say hello to our returning streamers. Let's see who's in the comments. We got lots of friends in today. First through the door is our friend Marcin, who says, absolutely fantastic series of streams, Nick. That is really kind of you, man. Thank you very much. PJ says, hi, Nick, Marcin, and all. Big thank you to Sharon at Lick Library at the office for our help today. Sharon is an absolute star, can confirm. Without Sharon, the whole operation falls apart, right? There are there are lots of folks pedaling away making the Lick Library thing work, but we'll shout them all out at various points. But no Sharon, no Lick Library, no Dave, no Lick Library, no James, no Lick Library. And these are guys that you don't necessarily get to see on camera. But if you call Lick Library head office, you'll speak to Sharon, and Sharon will sort you out no matter what your problem is, provided it's Lick Library related. Or maybe not, you know, Sharon's good at that sort of stuff. Anyway, Foghornish says, greetings, fellow Axemen. Great to have you on board. Lovely to have you. Hello, Nick. Hello, guitar people. I saw your Mary Ford review, says Larry Warren. Very cool. It's a great guitar. For anybody who missed that, just going to let some air into the room here. Anybody who missed it, the Mary Ford Les Paul. So you may be thinking, well, yeah, Mary Ford and Les Paul, Cool, right? The Mary Ford Les Paul is the Les Paul standard signature model of Mary Ford, who was Les Paul's wife. Phenomenal guitar player, great vocalist, musician of a really high caliber. She has a new signature guitar from Gibson, and it's a Les Paul this time. So you're probably familiar with the Mary Ford SG, which went under the name of Les Paul. It's the white 3-pickup guy. This is actually a gold top Les Paul standard. It's really interesting because, among other things, it seems to be probably the only Les Paul standard that we're aware of, or that people are aware of, that has a gold top but has a cherry back, which is kind of weird because we associate the cherry back and the back of the neck with the bursts, but this is a gold top, so it's in that transition year between gold top and between burst. Sorry, between gold top and burst, and this is a recreation of that guitar that Mary made a custom order of. It's got a cool thing like a forearm plate as well, and a floral pickguard. But the real interest for me, like I say, is the association with Mary Ford and that kind of cherry back and a gold top. It looks really cool. It's great, great guitar. Had a lot of fun playing that. Sacred God Slayer is in the house. Lovely to see you. Helmet Strap is tuning in. Response Audio is here. Kim, I've just got off the phone too. Lovely. It was good to see you. Long time no see. Cranker Tom is in the house. Deadman Doogie Van Dugison is here. His hardest part of getting through the holidays in the US is the Black Friday deals and my acute gas. You know what it is, man. Like, I'm quite lucky in that my gas needs are well taken care of when it comes to the guitar, and I have turned my gas needs to camera stuff. So there's going to be some new vision upgrades coming your way, let's say. But I think, I think we've got things looking quite nice. We're going to keep getting these little incremental improvements. I've bought myself a new camera. It's coming tomorrow. Deadman, I am indeed well. Ergo Hog is in the house. Chris Brown is here. Johnny Nine Fingers is in the house. Jada Barter is tuning in. Felix Basil is tuning in. Franz is here. Mal Riley's here. Chris Davis is here. Paco Jazztorius. Nick Jamming, one of the best parts of Monday. You are too kind. My friend Rob is tuning in. Right, if you don't know Rob's band, big shout out to Rob's band. Rob's band, Mad Morning. Monday. It's Monday, it's fuck's sake. Mad Morning. Great band. I played in a band with Rob for a while. He's a great dude, great singer, great songwriter, looks the Billy Bollocks as well. So Rob, it's nice to have you on board. Chris Davis is tuning in. Mal Riley is here. Raphael is here. Lighting and balance is a good improvement. Thanks, man. Spend a bit of time over it. I'm glad you like it. Larry Warren's tuning in, says, yup, me too. In agreement with this business of getting a bit lost on the scales thing. Who else do we have very quickly? Mal Riley says, I memorize them using fretboard diagrams. I draw the scale pattern on them until they're burned into my brain. It works for me more than just playing them over and over again. This is interesting, right? Because this is kind of part of what we're going to talk about today, which is developing a theory or a concept for these scale shapes that goes beyond just memorizing the rote shape, so to speak. But let's address what is potentially the problem here. So first things first, we're going to go to these cameras. I'm going to show you what's going on here. So I'm going to try anyway. What have I hit? I've hit a button, and the button is not doing the thing. There we go. That's much, much better. So let's address some of the issues that we potentially might be talking about here. Have you found yourself in this position? You set out, like the good guitar player, well-behaved guitar player that you are, to learn all of the 5 positions of the pentatonic scale and the 7 positions of the major scale, right? Just some of the scales we could potentially sit and learn. Maybe you decide you want to grapple with melodic minor. Maybe that's for you. That's perhaps another story for another day. But even still, you sit there with your fretboard diagram in front of you, your guitar book in hand, and you dutifully sit and play this over and over again. So on and so forth, and then you do the pentatonic scales, you play. So on and so forth, and you go, yeah, that's cool. I feel like I kind of getting somewhere with that, but when then you sit down to play with those scales, and you go, hold on, which one's next? I'm here, what's the next shape? And you spend more time thinking about the shape than you do thinking about the music and the things that you actually want to say with the guitar. It's a problem less in the practice room more a problem with application. So you're not able to just put this stuff down, so to speak, in the immediate heat of battle. Let's say Chris Brown says, it used to bore me to tears. Same, right? I resorted to playing along with Frank Gambale's Chop Builder to try and alleviate the tedium of this stuff. I'm like, you know what? Like, I just can't effing deal with sitting and running this stuff without an Australian man talking to me, without like really outdated sexist presentation with the now let's watch the ladies do it. Apologies about the accent, but anyway, yeah, like no can do, right? It's dull. It never stuck, right? So let's put this into battle, right? Into test. Let's put it to the test. Let's take it into battle is what I'm trying to say. Words, they escape me this evening, but it's Monday. Anyway, I'm also a little bit foggy-headed because I am officially 5 days away from my next powerlifting competition. So I'm fatigued and everything hurts, but I'm happy to be here playing the guitar. Let's put it that way. So anyway, let's put this to the test. So we're going to play over the backing track I was playing in the intro, which is in A minor. It is A minor in the truest sense, A Aeolian. So we can play A natural minor or A Aeolian or A minor pentatonic across the whole thing. Chose this backing track specifically because it's going to make our life easy for this demonstration, and it's cool. It's Fleetwood Mac style backing track. I really like it. Now, a little primer on what you can play if you want to play along with this and you don't know any scales at all. We can start with this. This is our minor pentatonic scale in the key of A. I'm going to turn the delay off because that'll get irritating quickly. Marcin says that PRS keeps getting me distracted. It's a looker, isn't it? So anyway, we're going to get this. We're going to have 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Piece of cake. Easiest thing in the world. You might think about it as big shape, small shape, small shape, small shape, big shape, and so on and so forth. With this in mind, let's go to the backing track. We're going to have a little play along and see how we get along with this. Now we're going to start by playing just A minor or A minor pentatonic. That's all we need for now. For the time being, that's all we need. I'm just going to turn this down a little bit because it's quite loud in my monitors. I don't want to spill too badly into the vocal mic. So if I play something like this, I'm going to give you a pass. You play along with this, give me some guitar in the key of A minor. It can be whatever you want, right? You can stay in one position, but we're going to start exploring a bit further. And I want to test you and see if you can go along with me. But first, let's get acclimated. Your turn. Play me some stuff. I'm going to clean this guitar a little bit. It's a wee bit dirty. I've got some gloves here because it's really cold. So I'm going to rub this with my gloves. Get a little bit of that guitar filth off. Okay, here's the challenge. I'm going to try playing some stuff that moves across the guitar's fretboard. Here's my objective. I want to get from here up to here. So we're in A minor, says my knees hurt. We're in A minor, A natural minor, or A minor pentatonic, and my knees hurt too. So there we go, we're in good company. My objective is to get from here up to about the 12th position, right? And just see if I can creep my way up there in as many ways as I can. I'm gonna do a way, and then you're gonna try your own way. We'll see how you get on. I'm gonna go. Take a turn. Remember, it's A natural minor here, or A minor pentatonic is fine. Your objective to start here, work your way somewhere up here. Notice I haven't set any particular box patterns to play. We'll get into why in a second. So I'm going to go like this. Turn. Nice little double note licks there, I quite like them. Again, getting from here, somewhere up here. That's what we're looking for. Now, I'm going to start and I'm going to ask you your thought process. So here's the thing, right? Did any of you, when you were playing along with this, fixate on the box positions that we were playing? By box positions, what I mean is, well, I'm playing this pentatonic box and then I'm going to move to this next pentatonic box or this scale box or this scale box up here. And how did that work for you? If it works for you, great. I'm not saying this can't work. Not saying this can't work, but I'm going to encourage you to start thinking about this a slightly different way. So let's take a second and consider our minor pentatonic scale. I'm going to see if I can get this working a little bit better for you, or give you a way of thinking about this that's maybe a little bit better. We're going to take the minor pentatonic scale. We're going to examine some of the box shapes, and we're going to look for some patterns. Specifically, we're going to look for a pattern that might be a little bit like this. I'm going to go to a clean sound. I'll turn the slap back off. Okay, so clean sound aside, let's have a little bit of this. So I'm going to play A minor pentatonic, right? Box number 1. What have we got? We've got this. There's my root note. On the root note with the first finger, I've got a large shape. Then I have 3 small shapes. By the time I've played 3 small shapes, I'm back to 2 large shapes. Let's say that again. Root note. Where the root note is in the first finger, I've got a large shape. I have 3 small shapes, 2 large shapes. And the last of those 2 large shapes has my root note on my first finger. That's an interesting observation, right? Does it play out over the rest of the scale? Well, we're about to find out. So let's turn our attention to the next pentatonic box, which is box number 2. Let me show you this one right now. So this box shape is going to start with second finger on fret number 8, but it's technically in the 7th position. What we mean by that is first finger is occupying fret 7. We have 8, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 9, 8, 10, 8, 10. I'll say that again. 8, 10, 7, 10, 7, 10, 7, 9, 8, 10, 8, 10. Now let's examine this very quickly. We have this small shape here, followed by 2 large shapes. With those 2 large shapes, my first finger is playing the root note on the higher of the 2 large shapes. Noticing a pattern emerging here. Once we've played these 2 large shapes, we have 3 small shapes. Well, doesn't that look familiar? What do we got here? Large shape, 3 small shapes. Large shape, 3 small shapes. Once we've done our 3 small shapes, we're back to large shapes. Root is on the first finger of the 2 large shapes. Now, is that a coincidence? No. We're going to get into why in a second, but let's carry this line of observation through. Let's take box number 3. Box number 3 is going to be here. We have the following. We have small shape, small shape, small shape. Frets 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12. A large shape with 9, 12. A large shape with 10, 13. And then a small shape, 10, 12. Would you look at that? 3 small shapes, 2 large shapes. Then 1 small shape. Where's the root note? First finger. First finger of the higher of the 2 large shapes. Noticing a pattern yet? You should be. Let's go to box number 4. Box 4, what have we got? 2 large shapes. 12, 15, 12, 15. Where's the root note? It's the first finger on the higher of the 2 large shapes. Then what have we got? 3 small shapes. 1 large shape. Might as well do box 4. Box 5. 2 small shapes. 2 large shapes. Where's the root note? First finger on the higher of the 2 large shapes. 2 small shapes. Here's the thing with this, right? So why I'm laboring this is because there is a master shape when it comes to the pentatonic scale. And there is also one for the 3-note per string major scale, which we'll get to in a second. But the master shape is very simple. The master shape is as follows. 2 big shapes, 3 small shapes. That's it. That's it. I'll say it again. 2 big shapes, 3 small shapes. This is because the series of intervals that make up the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale by extension will always play out in this pattern. They will always play out in this pattern. This is the beauty of the guitar being a grid-based instrument, is once we have a pattern of intervals, it will continue to repeat in that same intervallic sequence theoretically forever. I want you to imagine a theoretical infinite stringed guitar. An infinite stringed guitar. On this infinite stringed guitar, if we played the pentatonic scale starting here, we would have this 2 big, large, 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 large. Notice I'm playing large on my theoretical 7th string here, which I don't have. I have a 7-string guitar I could grab, but I'm not going to do that because that'll confuse folks. Large, large, 3 smalls, large, large, 3 smalls, large, large, 3 smalls, etc. And on it would go forever. Same here. Small, 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 large, large, small, small, small. Now you may be saying, but hold on, Nick, hold on. These small shapes, it's not as simple as that. These small shapes, they're in different places. Sometimes they're up here and sometimes they're down here. If I play a large shape here, how do I know whether I have to play the small shapes hanging off the top note or hanging off the bottom note? Well, the reason they're in these, Chris Brown saying, how long will it take for Ibanez to announce an infinite stringed guitar? Sure, yeah, a theoretically infinite string guitar. I am down for it, right? Ibanez, you want to start making theoretical guitars. If it's going to be anybody, it's going to be you. Now, the reason that these move around, the reason they shift around so much is because of the B string. Now, we're going to quickly take a moment and talk about the tuning of the guitar. I have railed at length about the tuning of the electric guitar, right? Well, the overall design of the electric guitar, to be fair. If you designed this instrument in 2024 and you took it to, let's say you took it to NAMM, right? The brand new electric guitar. This is the guitar that's going to change the world. You would be laughed out of the building, right? It's a really silly design. It is 6 overlapping monophonic stringed instruments upon which you are supposed to play chords and scales. All of the keys are black, which is really annoying. I'm going to sneeze. You have to excuse me 1 second. Beg your pardon. Yeah, all of the keys are black. And then we also have like, we're expected to memorize them. They're all overlaid in fourths like this. Apart from the G and B string, which are overlaid in a major third because of the Spanish, basically. So we have 4th, 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 major third. What? Fret 5 to open, 5 to open, 5 to open, 4 to open. Yak. Why? Because it enables us to do this. There you go. Right, there you go. Chris Brown's on a roll tonight, man. Says, and there are birds to tell you which note to play. Absolutely right. Just follow the birds. The big bird, not from Sesame Street. He's on the octave. So anyway, it's a really weird bit of design, man. And like little magnets pick up the sound and turn it into speakers. And also you have to wear it. You don't just put it down on something and play it. You have to wear the thing. And in addition, you have to keep the good hand, your skilled hand, that has to hold a bit of plastic and then hit the strings, while your less skilled hand has to do all the real work. It's a weird bit of design, but here's the thing. You can play chords and sing, so that's cool. But you can also go like this. Make it sound a little bit like a voice, which is nice. So it has that vocal thing that a saxophone and a trumpet have, and a harmonica and a violin and a cello, but it has the chord thing that a piano has. It's also cheap, it's portable, and it looks cool. You can do this with it, and you can like point and all that sort of thing. It's why the guitar exists in the first place. Anyway, the tuning is weird, right? And because of this, when we get to our B string, we've got to compensate for the fact that the B string's tuned a bit weird. So what we have to do is every time we get to the B string, if we're mid-pattern, we have to shift it up by a fret. This is going to be a crucial rule, right? But when we shift When we get to the B string, we shift up a fret. Let me show you what I'm talking about in action. Let's look at the large followed by 3 small shapes that we get. We find a root note. Root note is here. Let's take position number 1. There's A. That's going to give us a large shape followed by 3 small shapes. Large, small, small, small. All those small shapes are on the same fret. Why? Because we haven't crossed the B string. We have not crossed the B string Rubicon here. If we take this root note and we play large, small, when we get to the B string, we have to shift up a fret, which is why we get this. Make sense? Hopefully it does. Let's take the same idea with the 2 large shapes. So we played our 3 small shapes. There's our large shape with the root at the bottom. That's followed by another large shape. And then a small shape in this direction. Let's take this root note here. Big shape, small shape, theoretical extra small shapes. Big shape, small shape. But here we have to go back a fret for the big shape. Because why? We've crossed the B string. When we cross the B string, we've got to shift by a fret. That's it. But the point with this is that this understanding of a single unified pattern develops not only an awareness of why these scale shapes work, but also fosters the developing of instinct. Now, this is the important bit, right? Your scale knowledge and your ability to play them is only as good as how quickly you can recall them on instinct. And this goes much further than just memorizing the lines. You have to understand the lines, right? You can't just memorize a text and not understand it. Let's take the example of a movie. Let's say, for example, you're memorizing lines from a movie or from a sitcom, if you're a British person like I am, right? I've got every line from Father Ted memorized. Let's say that's you. Now, memorizing lines in a language you understand is one thing. You understand the language, you understand the patterns, you have an instinct for it. I would not be able to memorize the lines from Padre Tedo, whatever the Spanish equivalent of Father Ted would be. I'm sure that's blasphemous. Apologies. But yeah, whatever. You know, in a language I don't speak, with concepts I don't understand, no can do, right? So developing your instinct is crazy important here, and this comes from understanding the core of this pattern. And this goes back to our whole concept of intervals and understanding intervals and scale relationships. In that way, you find the root note, you recognize the scales as, let's say, you recognize the scales as a series of intervals that hang from a given root note. Once you understand this, you'll never forget scales again because you don't have to memorize them. It's not a memorization thing. It's a combination of pattern recognition and instant recall based on your instinct. So that is an important thing, right? Let's get into the battle now that we've talked about this, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if we can do some predictive stuff, right? I am going to play from various root notes. We're going to find a load of A's. We're going to play them with our Fleetwood Mac backing track. So let's fire the track up. Let's find some A's. Here's an A. We're going to play from here to begin with, right? The amp's making all sorts of noises today, but that's fine. So there's our A. What do we play from A? Big shape. 3 small shapes. Once we've played our 3 small shapes, there's big shape. Let's find another A. There's an A. Big shape. Big shape with first finger on the root. Small shape is behind. What's below? 3 small shapes. We only have room for 2, but that's okay. What's next? We've played our 2 big shapes. 2 small shapes. What's the next box up? Well, there's my A. Big shape below. 3 small shapes. Big shape. Where's my A? There's my A. 2 big shapes from this A. 3 small shapes. There's an A. Big shape back one because of B string. What's above? 3 small shapes. We only have room for 1. What's below? 3 small shapes. There's an A. You see where I'm going with this, right? There's an A. Big shape. 3 small shapes. Big shape on top. And thus, we develop an instinct for the pattern. This enables you to predict not just which big box is coming next, but a small part of the box. Oh, hello, amp. The amp agrees with me and is whistling in ooh, space noises. Okay, maybe we'll stick on this channel for the time being. I think it needs a little bit of a service. I play this amp a lot and it gets a bit funny sometimes. That's what happens when you play valve amps, man. You know, model is cool, valve amps are cooler because sometimes they go woo when they agree with you. Anyway, so that aside, that's neither here nor there. Becoming a catchphrase of mine, that is. So it allows us to predict the pattern in which these things arrive in small chunks, because sometimes you don't need to acquire the whole pattern. If I'm playing this, if I'm going here, like this bit here, I don't need to know this. I don't need to hold this in my short-term memory. I don't need to load that. I just need the bit that I'm using. So it allows us just to predict this stuff. Now, Mike Seedorf's asking, will knowing your triads help with this slide of phrasing? It absolutely will, right? Absolutely will, because it's basically the same thing, right? It's basically the same thing. It's understanding and predicting from a particular root note where the intervals that we want to choose from land, right? So what we're doing here is we're actually predicting and mapping from a given root note the intervals of flat third, fourth, fifth, and flat 7, because they're the intervals that make up the minor pentatonic scale. But knowing a minor triad is no different. Knowing a major triad is no different. We just map the intervals to this pentatonic scale. Now this gives us an easy way, map the intervals to a root note rather, and it gives us this easy way to visualize this stuff that we can just call on in the heat of battle. We can just grab it and go, yep, that's it. That's what I need right now. And when it's time for the next bit, we just load the next bit. So by load the next bit, what I mean is load the next bit into our short-term memories as players. Now, I have some reservations with the CPU analogy. Makes sense, but makes sense to an extent, but I struggle with the idea of humans being likened to machines, because there are such significant differences between humans and machines. We're not machines. We're adaptable biological organisms and very complex. So you can adapt, which machines can't do. But the idea of this computational analogy does stand, and I do like that. So yeah, basically we load the amount of scale that we want for the result we want and no more. We don't need to load it, and then when it's time to load the next bit, we just know how to get it. We know how to find it easy enough. Now we've got some cool questions coming in from Bernard Newton saying, at what stage do you switch off the patterns and run free, letting the instincts take over? You switch off the patterns when it's time to make music. That's basically it, right? So here's the thing. So I'm going to slightly go off on one before we talk about the major scale and the master sequence that goes into the major scale, but I have struggled to communicate for some time the different states of playing that you can have with students. And I think I've hit upon a really good analogy this semester, like literally with some students this time around. So the analogy is thus, right? We have essentially 3 states that we can occupy when we are making noise with the guitar. We can call these states practice, rehearsal, and performance, or playing. So I'm going to lump playing and performance in the same category. And playing and performance is making music, right? It's jamming, is playing, is performance. Obviously playing a gig, doing a recording, these are all performances. These are a different state to practice and to rehearsal. Now, I differentiate between practice and rehearsal because for me, practice is when you sit down with the express intent of improving your skills, whereas rehearsal is where you sit down with the express intent of perfecting something that you later perform. So, we rely on patterns when it's time to practice. When we're practicing, we go searching for patterns because we're trying to improve our skills. When it's time to play music, we allow the instinct to take over. Because at that point, our sole intent should be focused on making the best music that we can make, playing the things that we like the most. And at that point, it should be entirely instinct. So those three states, that's just a hypothesis I'm playing with. There's no backing for that. That's not something I've pulled from a textbook or anything. I'm just kind of going, how can I describe this to people? And that's the analogy I used. So anyway, going on from there, Mal Riley's actually asking about going up the neck on one string. It's actually a very good and very similar. I probably should have led with this, actually, to be honest. That's a really good point, because playing from a given root note up one string will always be the same, no matter where you play it from. So this is actually probably a really good demonstration here. So if we say this A note, for example, if I play this A note, I'm always going to get the following series of intervals to create minor pentatonic. I'll always get this big shape, small shape, small shape, big shape, small shape. If I start from this A note here, it'll always be the same. Big shape, small shape, small shape, big shape, small shape. So the intervals will always be the same, no matter which root note you start from, because the intervals are what make the scale, or what make the arpeggio. And similarly, that's why the shape, excusing the B string, will always be the same. Always going to be the same. Now, there are other ways you can play this, but that is one really good way of memorizing this stuff. Now, if only there were a similar pattern that we could use for the 3-note string major scale, of course there is. Indeed there is. And for this, we're going to use the 3-note string scales because they repeat in a logical way that the caged shapes don't. Now, please do not misinterpret me here. This is not me saying caged shapes suck and 3-note string scales will cause people to wet themselves when you play, or whatever Tom Hess is trying to tell you. Apologies, Tom, if you're watching, but that was a silly thing to say. Anyway, so immaterial, right? But even still, right, I think both are valuable, but this is a way of visualizing scales that is useful, I think. I think it's quite a useful way of doing things because it's very logical. Now, let's look at what we have in a given major scale shape. And we're going to begin by taking a look at the C major scale shape because let me go back and find who said this. Let's see, where were you? My knees hurt. The C major scale will give us all of the same notes as our A minor scale. It's not the same scale, it just contains all of the same notes in the same order. You might go, well, hold on, why is that? Why is it not the same scale? Well, I draw you back to this business of stone and tones. Stone and tones contain all of the same letters in the same order, but they're not the same word. They mean something very different, right? If you go into a guitar shop and ask for a stone, I'm trying to improve my stone, you'll get some funny looks. Similarly, if you go into a builder's merchant and ask for, I'm looking for a really nice fireplace made of tones, they're going to go, you're weird. Anyway, so the analogy is beaten to death, but that's the idea. So not the same, but it's the same notes in the same order. Why are they different? Well, each note has an assigned different value relative to the root note. Let's not concern ourselves with that. Let's take a look at the C major scale and where it falls. And we'll find some root notes and we'll build from there. So let's begin with this. We're going to start here with finger number 1. Turn the slap back off because we're not playing rockabilly just yet. Finger 1 goes on fret number 8, and then we get the following. We get stretchy shape. What's a stretchy shape? Well, the stretchy shape is a shape where we play with a stretch between finger 1 and 2, and a gap between finger 2 and 4. Stretchy shape. Or you can think about it as the 2 whole tones shape. Stretchy shape. There's 2 of those. C is here. Then we have a shape that reads 1, 2, 4. Why do we call it 1, 2, 4? That's the fingering numbers. Finger 1, finger 2, finger 4. If it was 1, 3, 4, it would be this. But we play 1, 2, and 4. This is where finger discipline becomes important. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. What have we had so far? Stretchy, stretchy, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Then we're followed with 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. That's 6 whole strings. 2 stretchies, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. Nice. Let's look at the next box position that we could play. The next box position goes like this. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. Sorry, stretchy rather. Stretchy, stretchy. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3 stretchies. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Let's look at the next position. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Ooh, I beg your pardon. Where have I ended up there? Sorry, I apologise. 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. 3 stretchies. Well, would you look at that? Stretchy. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. Stretchy. Have you noticed the pattern? Yes, I'm sure you have. The pattern is as follows. On our theoretical infinite string guitar, our major scale pattern will always read in this order from low to high. 3 stretchy shapes, 2 1 2 4s, 2 1 3 4s. So 3 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this. I'll do that again on the guitar so you can see. 3 of this, 2 of this, 2 of this. 3 stretchies, 2 lots of 1 2 4, 2 lots of 1 3 4. Always, every time. Why? Why, Nick? Why is this the case? Because the series of intervals does not deviate. No matter which root note we start on, the series of intervals will always be the same from that root note. Because if we change the intervals, we're playing something else. We've changed it into a different scale. If you play the major scale and you flatten the 7th, you're not playing the major scale anymore. It's mixed Lydian now. It's just the way it works, right? So anyway, let's talk about where we might find the root note. If we're playing C major, we would find the root note, or one place where we can find the root note, on the first finger of the middle of our stretchy shapes. I'll say that again. First finger, middle of the stretchy shapes. Let's go back to that first shape we looked at a second ago. I'll show you what's going on here. First finger, right here. We have stretchy, stretchy. We already established that there are 3 stretchy shapes. So there's a theoretical one here, stretchy. 1 in the middle, that's where our root note is, first finger in the middle. Then 1 more stretchy. Then it's 1 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3 4. We'll also find a root note, which is going to be our pinky finger on the lowest of the 1 3 4s. It's another place we could find it. So if we found a C starting with our pinky finger on the lowest of the 1 3 4s, we could build from there. Let's say here. 1 3 4 1 3 4. Stretchy, stretchy. Oh yeah, there's 3 of those. What's next? 1 2 4. If we add another string, it'd be 1 2 4 again. Let's take the first finger, put it on the middle stretchy shape. There's a C. Stretchy, stretchy. 1 stretchy below. 1 2 4 1 3 4. 1 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4. Why did I move from here to here? B string. We already talked about that. What's this? 1 3 4. It's the lowest of the 1 3 4s. Root notes on the pinky. That's it. That's the whole pattern. Let's find another C. There's a C. Put your first finger there. Stretchy, stretchy, stretchy below. There's a C. Put my pinky finger there. Lowest of the 1 3 4s. Stretchy. There's my shape. What's this? There's another C. We can also find a C on our middle finger on the lowest of the 1 2 4s. Huh. Well, there you go. Middle finger there. That's the middle finger and the lowest of the 1 2 4s. So it's 1 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3 4 stretchies. Always. Every time. Without fail. Now, to convert this into your modal scales, all we have to do is relearn where the root notes are. The patterns will always be the same. But the point with this is when you develop an instinct for this pattern, you just sort of know what's coming next. If you've played 2 1 2 4s, 2 lots of 1 2 4, you kind of know that it's going to be 1 3 4s coming. It's not going to be stretchies all of a sudden. It's not going to be, oh, what if it's 1 2 3 now? It's never going to be that. It's always the same predictable pattern. This is the musical equivalent of iambic pentameter. It's always going to be the same. Always the same pattern. And this opens up so much stuff for visualizing the fretboard. It makes life impossibly easy. So let me quickly recap this for you guys. if we're playing pentatonic scales, it's always the following, right? Always the following. 2 big shapes, 3 small shapes. 2 big shapes, 3 small shapes. 2 big shapes, 3 small shapes. That's it. Root note, if you're playing major pentatonic, index finger on the bottom, index finger on the higher of the 2 big shapes. Or if you prefer, third finger on the middle of the 3 small shapes. Where's that? Well, look at this, right? Here we go. Didn't say that before because I didn't want to confuse people. Root note there. 3 small shapes. 1, 2, 3 of them. Root note is third finger on the middle of those. What about up here? Second box. Okay. Small shape, third finger. There it is. That's it. If you're playing major pentatonic, the root note is just 1 degree further up the shape. So it's pinky finger on the highest of the 2 box shapes. The highest of 2 big shapes, rather. Index finger on the highest of the 3 small shapes. If my index finger is there, it's going to be the index finger on the highest. That's the root note. Index finger on the highest of the 3 small shapes. If my pinky finger's in the root, it's the highest of the 2 big shapes. That's pentatonic. Major scale shapes as follows. Stretchies, 3 of them. 3 stretchy shapes. 2 1-2-4s, 2 1-3-4s. That's it. Root notes are as follows. Index finger goes, this is for C major, by the way, for any major Ionian, let's say. It's different if you're playing Dorian or Lydian or Phrygian or whatever. But for Ionian, for the major scale, index finger on the middle of the 3 stretchy shapes. Middle finger on the lower of the 2 1-2-4s. Pinky finger on the lower of the 2 1-3-4s. That's it. So, let's find some examples. Pinky finger goes here. That's 1-3-4. Oh, it's the lower of the 2. So it's going to be 1-2-4 next. There's a 1-2-4. Lower of the 2 1-2-4s. Middle finger goes there. There's my roots. 3 stretchy shapes if I had enough strings for them. That's it. That's the scale shape. That is the whole deal. Now, obviously, there are scales beyond pentatonic and major and minor scale, right? So Marcin's saying that's why melodic minor always confuses me. It's so irregular compared to the major scale scheme. 100%, it is irregular, but there are patterns that will flow together with this because the series of intervals is always the same. Now, myself, I cheat with melodic minor very quickly. I cheat with melodic minor, and I always envisage melodic minor as being related to one of the major scale modes. And it's normally the major scale mode with something sharpened. So I think, right, you're going to have to entertain me here because I'm going to air this little grievance. I have thought for the longest time that the melodic minor modes all have the wrong names. And I will explain to you why. The melodic minor modes, there is a very elegant way of naming them that we could use, that we don't because of convention. What they should be named is the melodic minor itself should be Dorian sharp 7. Right? Dorian sharp 7, if that makes sense. Right? The Dorian sharp 7. Why? Because it sounds like Dorian and you sharpen the 7. What's next? Second mode melodic minor. Phrygian sharp 6. But Nick, it's Dorian flat 2. Well, it doesn't sound very Dorian. As soon as you put that flat 2 in, sounds pretty Phrygian to me. What's it sound like? Sounds like this. Now, yeah, I played a 2 there because I'm so used to playing Dorian. Yeah, Dorian, so we call it Phrygian sharp 6. Lydian augmented I can agree with. Lydian sharp 5. The next one, mixed Lydian sharp 4. The next one, Aeolian sharp 3 or Aeolian dominant. See where I'm going with this? Locrian, sharp 2. I draw the line at super Locrian being Ionian sharp 1 because he can't have a sharp 1. But that's how it works. You play through the major scale modes in order and you just sharpen one of the notes, and the note that you sharpen goes back 1 as you move through each note. So it's Dorian sharp 7. I'll do this with my fingers. I'll do this in the main count. Dorian sharp 7, Phrygian sharp 6, Lydian sharp 5, Mixed Lydian sharp 4, Aeolian sharp 3, Locrian sharp 2, Aeolian sharp 1, Ionian sharp 1, etc. But that's the deal. Incidentally, it also works for harmonic minor. So harmonic minor, bit of a weird one. Harmonic minor is funny, but if you consider that to be Aeolian sharp 7, you can have Aeolian, let's do it. Aeolian sharp, I'm going to hang myself by my own petard here. Aeolian sharp 7, Locrian sharp 6, right? Ionian sharp 5, Dorian sharp 4 we already have, Phrygian sharp 3, aka Phrygian dominant. These ones are weird, right? So Lydian sharp 2, yak. And then the unfortunate Mixed Lydian sharp 1, forget that one. The sharp ones, they can't exist. That's why my little scheme falls apart. But I just think it's an elegant naming convention that some people should use. So anyway, it's a way of thinking about it. We got some questions. We're going to answer the questions as we go, right? So let's go to the Q&A section, because we're already kind of doing that anyway. So Mark Riley says, so using the major scale pattern, you'll orient the pattern's reference to the root note. Do you use the same pattern for minor diatonic, the same pattern with... Yes, you do. So basically the sequence of fingerings will always be the same because the sequence of intervals is the same, just starting at a different point. So I go back to stone and tones. Stone and tones, if you want to consider it this way, are modes of each other. So tones is the second mode of stone. Weird way of looking at it, but that's one way of thinking about it, right? Now, I don't think parental thinking is the most useful way to think about scales. Certainly not the most useful way to think about modes. I think it's better to think about them as their own scale. But crucially, the fingering pattern will always be the same because the series of intervals is the same. So that's one way of thinking about it. So yes, the fingering patterns are the same. If you're playing natural diatonic minor versus playing Ionian natural major, I've called it sometimes, which again, just revealing things about myself, like some weird musical conspiracy theorist. I promise I'm not. I've just got weird ways of thinking about this stuff that I don't talk to people about very often because it can be confusing. It's contrary to what a lot of other communicators are saying, and I don't want to confuse you. So that's why I don't bring up that melodic minor theory thing very often, but that's the way I think about it. So here's one from Mike Seedorf. Mike Seedorf is saying, what genre of music will Locrian be used in? It's a good question. Locrian sees occasional use. We don't use it very often. I have a melody that I composed accidentally in Locrian that's quite cool. Haven't released this song yet, but the song is called Nothing Sacred. It's by my band Saints of Arcadia. We've got singles that you can go check out. This one sounds nothing like the current single. The current single is a song called One on One. It's like a country rock thing. It's cool. This is nothing like that. It's a big angry fuzz fest. The song's in the key of C. And there is this little melody in there, which is really cool, I think. I'm going to try playing it along with one of my C backing tracks. I don't have a C Locrian backing track, but I have a heavy C something. Let's go find it. Where are you? Where's the heavy backing tracks? I definitely have them loaded. I just can't find them. Let's put it against Dorian, because Dorian can withstand tension. Okay. So the melody goes like this. It's really weird. It's a weird sounding melody. So I'll turn the track down a bit just to give it some context. It sounds thus it goes. Let me get it right. That Dorian track's throwing me off, but I go. That's the one. Now, I wrote it, and it's accidentally Locrian. I didn't say accidentally because I didn't set out to write Locrian, but that's one place where you might find it. So Locrian's a little weird in that it's kind of gross, but you can use a modalized version of it, or I'll come back out of that, a pentatonicized version of it to some success, but it sort of stops having the identifiable Locrian notes. So if we remove two of the notes, it starts to become a little bit more useful because we're removing some of the ugly. So good ones to remove. You can pull out the third and the sixth with impunity, for example. So, for example, if we play this, so we play C, if we pull out the third, pull out the sixth, we get this scale that might read 1, 2, 1 flat 2, 4, 5, flat 7. Or we can pull, sorry, it'd be flat 5. I'm playing a Phrygianized version there. Guitars don't improvise with this very often because it's a bit kind of like, oh, where is it? The pattern is not baked into my fingers yet, but that's one of the places you can do it. However, they're not the only notes you can pull out, by the way. It's also kind of cool to pull out the second, and let's say the second and the sixth, and then we get this. However, it's not the only genre of music we can work in. It's actually very common to use Locrian in jazz, specifically over the 2 in a minor 2-5-1. So if we play a minor 2-5-1 in, let's pick a key, let's minor 2-5-1 in C. So in this case, the 2 is D minor 7 flat 5, and then the 5, sorry, I'm reading the comments. There's some good comments coming in. The 5 is G7 altered. The 1 is, I'm going to play C minor 6. It could be C minor 7 there. So then we could play Locrian over the 2. So it'd be D Locrian over the 2. Oh, sorry. G super Locrian. C Dorian over the, what's major? What am I playing? Haven't played jazz in a while. Yeah. Either C Dorian or C melodic minor over the 1. So you'd use it there sometimes. We don't play it very often. We don't play it very often because it is very dark. As somebody rightly pointed out, Mal Riley's saying, somebody showed me how the modes go from bright to dark sound and the relationships with the number of sharps, flats in each mode. 100%. So the more flats and sharps you have, the darker things sound. But here's the thing. If you go from darkest, let's say you play C from Locrian, all the way up to its brightest mode. Let me show you a little trick here. This is just something fun. It's trivia more than anything, right? Locrian can actually be the brightest of the bunch if you keep doing this relationship. So there's C, there's Locrian, let's do Phrygian, just one extra. You know, I'm doing this in E so I can hold the E. I'll play it again. So E Locrian, E Phrygian, somewhere with this. E Lydian. Here we've taken every note that was in Locrian and flattened, and we've sharpened all of them. We've sharpened every note from Locrian, apart from the first note, apart from the root. What happens if we sharpen the root? Well, we go from E Lydian to F Locrian. So Lydian sharp 1 is actually Locrian. You would never play that. I'm just going to throw this out there right now. You would never play this. This is not something you would use. This is not a concept where Locrian can be the brightest mode because you sharpen the 1, because it would sound bad and your ear would be pulled to Locrian being the tonal sender. You can't actually use this trick to make it work, but it is a fun quirk of trivia, let's say. It's trivia. That's what it is. But music trivia is fun. Music theory trivia, it's fun. just something to observe. You'd never use it, and that begs the question, why talk about it? Well, because it's entertaining, and it keeps me entertained. Anyway, folks, it's been a lot of fun, right? That's been scales. We've done 4 whole streams on scales. If you want a little bit of a crash course on this stuff, don't forget you can catch all of the other streams that we did on scales on whatever YouTube channel you happen to be watching on, whether it's Guitar Interactive or Lick Library, right? If you're not watching on one, you're watching on the other, go to the other one, drop a subscribe. If you want some more stuff on fretboard mastery, my course is down below, right? My course is down below. It's the Fretboard Freedom Master Plan. This is one concept that is discussed in the Fretboard Freedom Master Plan. I urge you to go check it out. It's available on licklibrary.com. Go to licklibrary.com for lessons, guitarinteractivemagazine.com for gear, news, reviews, all the other stuff that goes around the guitar. Not the Behringer Centaur yet. We're refusing to get caught up in that controversy, but the Behringer Centaur, amazing. Anyway, folks, thank you so much. My name's Nick Jennison. I will see you guys next week with an entirely different topic. Let's jam out on the Fleetwood Mac backing track because it was an awful lot of fun. Let me just find the damn thing. If I can find it. Here it is. Dreamy 78, I've named it. 76. What are the chances? Thank you so much. See you guys next week. Let's go to these 2 cameras because I haven't used this camera for very much at all yet, and I like to use it. It's my pick and hand cam. It's good fun. Right, see you guys later. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.